Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful, but the youngest was so stunningly beautiful that the sun itself, having seen so much, was astonished whenever it shone in her face. Near the king's castle lay a great, dark forest, and under an old lime tree in this forest was a well. When the day was very warm, the king's daughter would go out into the forest and sit down by the side of the cool well. To pass the time, she would take a golden ball, throw it up high, and catch it. This ball was her favorite toy. Now it happened that one day, the princess's golden ball did not fall back into her little hand, but instead, it bounced on the ground and rolled straight into the water. She followed it with her eyes, but the ball disappeared, and the well was deep, so deep that she could not see the bottom. At this, she began to cry, and her crying grew louder and louder, and she could not be comforted. And as she wept so bitterly, someone called out to her, "What is wrong, king's daughter? You weep so that even a stone would be moved to pity." She looked around to see where the voice came from and saw a frog stretching its thick, ugly head from the water. "Oh, it's you, old water splasher," she said. "I am weeping for my golden ball, which has fallen into the well." "Be quiet and do not weep," answered the frog. "I can help you, but what will you give me if I fetch your toy for you?" "Whatever you want, dear frog," she said. "My clothes, my pearls and jewels, and even the golden crown I am wearing." The frog answered, "I do not care for your clothes, your pearls and jewels, or your golden crown. But if you will love me and let me be your companion and playfellow, sit by you at your little table, eat from your little golden plate, drink out of your little cup, and sleep in your little bed, if you will promise me this, I will go down and bring your golden ball up again." "Oh yes," she said, "I promise you all you wish, if you will but bring me my ball back." She thought to herself, "What nonsense this silly frog talks! He lives in the water with other frogs and croaks. He cannot be a companion to any human being." But the frog, when he had received the promise, put his head down and sank into the water. After a little while, he came up again with the ball in his mouth and threw it on the grass. The king's daughter was delighted to see her pretty toy once more. She picked it up and ran away with it. "Wait, wait," called the frog. "Take me with you. I cannot run as you can." But what good did it do for him to scream his croak, croak, after her as loudly as he could? She did not listen to it, but ran home and soon forgot the poor frog, who was forced to go back into his well again. The next day, when she had sat down to dinner with the king and all the courtiers and was eating from her little golden plate, something came creeping, splash, splish, splash, up the marble staircase. When it had got to the top, it knocked at the door and cried, "Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me." She ran to see who was outside, but when she opened the door, there sat the frog. Then she slammed the door in a great hurry, sat down to dinner again, and was quite frightened. The king saw plainly that her heart was beating fast and said, "My child, what are you so afraid of? Is there a giant outside who wants to carry you away?" "Oh, no," she replied. "It is no giant, but a disgusting frog." "What does a frog want with you?" "Oh, dear father, yesterday as I was in the forest sitting by the well, playing, my golden ball fell into the water, and because I cried so, the frog brought it out for me, and because he insisted, I promised him he should be my companion, but I never thought he would be able to come out of his water. And now he is outside there and wants to come in to me." In the meantime, it knocked a second time and cried, "Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me. Do you not know what you said to me yesterday by the cool waters of the well? Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me." "Then," said the king, "that which you have promised, you must perform. Go and let him in." She went and opened the door, and the frog hopped in and followed her, step by step, to her chair. There he sat and cried, "Lift me up beside you." She delayed, until at last the king commanded her to do it. Once the frog was on the chair, he wanted to be on the table, and when he was on the table he said, "Now, push your little golden plate nearer to me that we may eat together." She did this, but it was easy to see that she did not do it willingly. The frog enjoyed his food, but every mouthful she ate nearly choked her. At last he said, "I have eaten and am satisfied. Now I am tired and want to go to sleep. Carry me into your little room and make your little silken bed ready, and we will lie down and sleep." The king's daughter began to cry, for she was afraid of the cold frog which she did not like to touch, and which was now to sleep in her pretty, clean little bed. But the king grew angry and said, "He who helped you when you were in trouble ought not to be scorned by you afterwards." So she took the frog with 2 fingers, carried him upstairs, and put him in a corner. But when she was in bed, he crept to her and said, "I am tired. I want to sleep as well as you. Lift me up, or I will tell your father." At this, she was terribly angry, and she picked him up and threw him with all her might against the wall. "Now, you will be quiet, you horrid frog," she said. But when he fell down, he was no frog but a king's son with beautiful, kind eyes. He, by her father's will, was now her dear companion and husband. Then he told her how he had been bewitched by a wicked witch, and how no one could have delivered him from the well but herself, and that tomorrow they would go together into his kingdom. Then they went to sleep, and the next morning when the sun awoke them, a carriage came driving up with 8 white horses, which had white ostrich feathers on their heads and were harnessed with golden chains. And behind stood the young king's servant, Faithful Henry. Faithful Henry had been so unhappy when his master was changed into a frog that he had caused 3 iron bands to be laid round his heart, lest it should burst with grief and sadness. The carriage was to conduct the young king into his kingdom. Faithful Henry helped them both in, and placed himself behind again, and was full of joy because of this deliverance. And when they had driven part of the way, the king's son heard a cracking behind him as if something had broken. So he turned round and cried, "Henry, the carriage is breaking." "No, master, it is not the carriage. It is a band from my heart, which was put there in my great pain when you were a frog and imprisoned in the well." Again and once again while they were on their way something cracked, and each time the king's son thought the carriage was breaking, but it was only the bands which were springing from the heart of Faithful Henry, because his master was set free and happy. And so the prince and princess rode with Faithful Henry to their new kingdom, where they lived happily ever after. A reminder that promises are important, and that sometimes the most unexpected creatures can hold the key to our happiness. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to follow 4 more tales from long ago.